The first time Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman crossed paths on a film set, it wasn't the kind of moment anyone would have predicted would echo through Hollywood history. It happened during the making of The Beguiled in 1971, a tense, atmospheric story set during the Civil War. Eastwood was already stepping into the spotlight, carrying a growing reputation shaped by westerns and a quiet, commanding screen presence. Hackman, meanwhile, was still carving his place, driven by discipline and a deep respect for the craft. Their interaction on that set was brief, almost incidental, but it quietly planted the seed for a creative relationship that would later evolve into something far more meaningful and memorable. Two paths, one industry. At that time, the two actors were walking very different roads. Eastwood had begun building an image that audiences immediately recognized, the calm, controlled figure who spoke less but said more through presence alone. Hackman, in contrast, approached acting like a craftsman, carefully shaping every detail of his characters. He believed in digging deeper, asking questions, and refining every moment until it felt real. These differences didn't create conflict right away, but they defined how each man saw storytelling. One trusted instinct and simplicity, while the other relied on exploration and precision. It was this contrast that would later become both a challenge and a strength when their careers brought them together again. The evolution of two icons. As the years passed, both men rose to the top of the industry, but they did so in ways that reflected their personalities. Eastwood expanded his influence beyond acting, stepping behind the camera to direct and produce, shaping entire projects with a clear and confident vision. Hackman stayed devoted to performance, choosing roles that allowed him to explore complexity and human behavior. By the early 1990s, they were no longer emerging talents. They were established figures, respected for different reasons but equally admired. When the opportunity came to collaborate again, it wasn't just another project, it was a meeting of two fully formed artists, each bringing decades of experience and a distinct perspective. A defining collaboration. That collaboration came in the form of Unforgiven in 1992, a film that would go on to redefine the Western genre. For Eastwood, it was deeply personal, a chance to reflect on and even challenge the kind of characters that had made him famous. For Hackman, it offered a role rich with complexity, one that required him to balance authority, cruelty, and self-justification. On screen, their characters stood in opposition, representing conflicting ideas about justice and morality. Off-screen, their working styles occasionally clashed, but those moments were less about disagreement and more about two dedicated professionals striving to bring authenticity to the story they were telling. Creative tension on set. The set of Unforgiven was shaped by a quiet but noticeable tension. Eastwood preferred efficiency, often trusting the first or second take and avoiding unnecessary repetition. He believed that overthinking could take away from the natural flow of a scene. Hackman, however, valued exploration, sometimes wanting additional takes to uncover subtle emotional shifts. These differences led to moments of friction, but they were never rooted in ego. Instead, they reflected two approaches to the same goal, telling the truth of a character. In many ways, this tension added depth to the film, allowing each performance to feel grounded, layered, and real in a way that might not have been possible otherwise. Mutual respect beneath the surface. Despite their contrasting methods, there was always a strong sense of respect between them. Eastwood recognized Hackman's dedication and the intensity he brought to his roles, while Hackman admired Eastwood's clarity as a director and his ability to create powerful moments with minimal effort. They didn't need to agree on everything to appreciate each other's strengths. In fact, it was their differences that made their collaboration so compelling. Rather than trying to change one another, they allowed those differences to coexist, trusting that the final result would benefit from both perspectives. This quiet understanding became the foundation of their professional relationship. A film that changed everything. Unforgiven was more than just a successful film. It was a turning point. It challenged traditional ideas about heroism and violence, presenting a world where actions carried consequences and characters were shaped by their pasts. Eastwood's performance reflected a man burdened by memory, while Hackman's portrayal brought depth to a character who believed firmly in his own sense of justice. The film resonated with audiences and critics alike, earning major awards and solidifying its place in cinematic history. For both men, it became a defining achievement, one that highlighted not only their individual talents but also the power of their collaboration. The aftermath and lasting impact. After Unforgiven, their careers continued, but the film marked a shift. Eastwood moved further into directing stories that explored human complexity and moral ambiguity. Hackman, on the other hand, gradually stepped away from acting, choosing a quieter life after years of remarkable performances. Though they didn't work together again, the impact of their collaboration remained. The film stood as a reminder of what can happen when different artistic philosophies come together with a shared purpose. It also left audiences with a deeper understanding of storytelling, one that embraces imperfection, conflict, and truth. A legacy built on contrast. Looking back, the story of Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman isn't about rivalry or hidden conflict. It's about contrast. Two artists with different approaches finding common ground through their work. Their collaboration showed that great art doesn't always come from agreement. Sometimes it comes from the balance of opposing ideas. Unforgiven remains a testament to that balance, a film shaped by both restraint and intensity. Their legacy isn't defined by a single moment or revelation, but by the lasting impression they left on cinema. Together, they created something honest, powerful, and enduring, proof that differences, when respected, can lead to something truly unforgettable.